This is our Raspberry Pi, and we've had some problems with it overheating. You can see where I put in my own heatsink here. And yeah, we were running some, YouTube videos on the TV, and it started showing a little thermometer and started, slowing down, all that stuff. So yeah, this is not adequate. And so I got on the internet and started looking for some stuff. And if I'm not mistaken, this just came, and this should be, yes, that's what I think it is. I think this will be the answer to our problems. I'll lay everything out here, and then we'll get close in and take a look. This is what's in the box. We got a pair of fans and a connector. Got the, looks like the upper plate, and my guess is this is where the fans go. Of course, there's no directions with this. And this would be the bottom plate. And then we've got a bag of stuff. It looks like there's some thermal tape. I got a little hex wrench and then some screws. So let's empty this out and start assembling it. What I've done is I've flipped this side over, and you can see the two places where the heatsink is going to come in contact with the Raspberry Pi. That will be here and here, and I've already put that thermal transfer tape on there. And then here's another place on the bottom. I've cleaned up, there was some flashing around here, so yeah, if there's any sharp edges, you definitely want to smooth those out. Of course, I removed the old heatsink from the Raspberry Pi. I also discovered that when it came to the screws, there's 4 large-headed screws, which I assume are the case screws that'll go here. And then there are 8 small-headed screws, which I assume will do the fan. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting things together. I still need to put, there's another one of these pieces of tape that will go on the bottom here. And I will position that. I prefer to position it over the chip first before I place down the heatsink. Now you can do it either way, but this way I'm assured that it's going to be right on top of the component where it gets warm. And in case these are cast off a little bit, I want to make sure that the heat transfer tape is directly over the component, and I think that's more important than making sure it's centered exactly on the heatsink part. Okay, so next step. I've got my thermal transfer tape on the back side here, and I got my 4 screws in place. I'm going to set it down there, so that makes good contact. I was wondering why they gave me 2 of these pieces this size, and then I went to look, and I don't know if you can see, but this one that touches the main processor is shorter than this one. So I think they gave me 2 pieces of that transfer stuff so that I can make contact with this, because actually I tried it, and when I place it on here, there's a gap. There's an air gap between the tape and the heatsink. So yeah, this is their workaround, is they gave me an extra piece of that, and I hope it doesn't impede the heat flow. Okay, well, let's keep moving. I will put this on top of here, and then we will finish assembling it. I'll take it to the next step, I should say, and go from there. I've tightened the screws down. These back 2, back here, I did not tighten them all the way because I didn't feel comfortable with it. It felt like there was too much pressure with that extra foam, that extra transfer tape in there. The front 2, here and here, I tightened all the way down, but I left these back 2. You can see there's a gap there, and there's a gap there. I squeezed it with my fingers and then tightened the screw down to make sure I just didn't get way too much pressure on there. Transfer stuff is in contact with the processor there and with the heatsink up there, so that's good. And over here you can barely see that one the same. It's in contact with the chip and with the heatsink on top. And there's the one on the bottom. You can see it's in contact with both. So we've got all three of the hot points in contact with the aluminum, which is a good thing. Now all that's left to do is secure these fans in place like this, and it plugs in over here, so that's a relatively convenient routing of the wire. And yeah, I'll put in these 8 screws and then we'll be right back. I set these fans in here to blow down onto the heat sink, and you may prefer yours to blow out, but this is the position for them to blow down. I've put in all 8 of these screws and lightly tightened them. You don't really want to crank down and crack the plastic. I have the plug set here. The positive on this one goes onto pin 4 and the negative is on pin 6. That's a +5 and a ground. And let's plug it in and give it a smoke test. Okay, red light's on, fans are turning, and okay, so far so good. I've got the Raspberry Pi just off camera down here, and we're running it on kind of a, well, right now it's just a static picture. When it's not doing anything, it runs in the low 40s. It starts going up as you do more. What I've found is with the heat sink in place, that I get, when I'm running the video, I get like mid to high 50s, which is not bad considering the other day I was getting the half a thermometer up here, which tells me it was around 80 degrees centigrade, which is what, 25 degrees centigrade higher, which is way too high. But the other thing I found is that the fans don't help. Right now I'm running it with the fans unplugged. When I plug in the fans, sometimes I get the lightning bolt up here telling me it's drawing too much power, and I haven't seen more than a degree temperature difference when running the fans, so I'm not really sure they're doing any good. But yeah, that's about it. Seems to be working really well just as a heat sink, and again, I won't run it with the fans. If I did, I would get a separate power supply for those. Okay, well that's it for our heat sink for our Raspberry Pi. I hope you found it useful and interesting in your Raspberry Pi experimentation and programming.